When a bad day tries to take you down. Have you ever felt like the entire day is just a mess? You set your alarm, but overslept. You planned to work out, but ended up scrolling your phone. You had a to-do list, but didn't start a single task. And then you think, well, today's ruined. So you give up. You eat mindlessly. You procrastinate more. You blame yourself. And when the day ends, you don't just feel like a failure, you feel worse about who you are. But, pause for a moment. Right pointing back hand index. You don't have to let one bad day drag your entire week down. Right pointing back hand index. You don't have to be a perfect from start to finish to make your day meaningful. Welcome to the one-day reset rule. A simple yet powerful principle. No matter how far you slip, you always have the power to reset within the same day. This isn't just a psychological trick. It's a behavior shifting tool, a system reset technique, a push to keep you from giving up just because you slipped once. Bullseye. And if you learn to apply this rule, you'll no longer fear bad days. You'll know how to turn them into a springboard to bounce back stronger than ever. Part 1: The domino effect of a bad day. We often underestimate the power of a single bad day. But if we're not careful, a derailed day can become the spark that ignites a whole string of setbacks. Imagine this. You've just had a great week. Your new habits are starting to settle. You feel energized, like you're finally back on track. Then suddenly, you oversleep. Or a message throws you off. Or maybe, you just feel unmotivated for no clear reason. You skip your workout. You eat whatever's convenient. You don't do a single task on your schedule. You tell yourself, it's just today. But then you notice something else, you feel disappointed in yourself. A subtle guilt creeps in. I failed again. I can never stick to anything for more than 3 days. Whatever, maybe I'm just not the disciplined type. And it's those thoughts, not the slip itself, that truly damage your progress. Explosion symbol. The psychological trap, the what the hell effect. Psychologists call this phenomenon the what the hell effect. When you feel like you've broken the rule or messed up once, your brain starts to think, whatever, might as well keep going. I've already slipped, so what's the point? If I can't stick to it perfectly, I'll just give up today entirely. That's how one small mistake becomes a full-blown excuse to abandon everything. Counterclockwise arrows, and then the cycle begins. You give up for a few more hours. By the end of the day, you beat yourself up. The next morning, you wake up demotivated because you already messed up yesterday. And so, the chain of failure continues. You don't fail because you're not good enough. You fail because you don't know how to interrupt the loop at the right time. A bad day doesn't define you. But how you respond to it does define your journey. And that's exactly why the one-day reset rule was created. Not to hide your mistakes, but to press reset at the right moment before things spiral too far. Part 2: The science of behavioral reset, why resetting at the right time can save your whole journey. Let's start with something simple. Right pointing back hand index. Humans are not designed to be perfect all the time. Our minds and bodies are built with limits, and sometimes, what matters most isn't always being right, but knowing how to recover when we're wrong. Microscope 1. The brain's executive system, the key to continue or quit. Inside your brain, 2 main systems control your behavior. System 1, automatic, reflexive, fast, emotional, instinct-driven. When you're stressed, tired, or drained, this system takes over, making you react impulsively, binge eating, procrastinating, making rash decisions. System 2, executive, rational, slow, analytical, goal-oriented. This is where the reset happens, where you pause, reassess, and steer yourself back on track. Right pointing back hand index. When you reset, you're reactivating your rational system. You interrupt the emotional downward spiral and consciously choose to realign your path. Chart with downward trend 2. The psychological trap, self-sabotage, when you become your own enemy. One of the most dangerous psychological mechanisms is self-sabotage, the tendency to destroy your own positive progress. It starts as a small guilt, then grows into thoughts like, "I'm not as good as I thought. I probably can't do this. This time will end like all the others, I'll give up halfway." The result? You don't just pause, you retreat completely. But resetting isn't just saving a habit, it's saving your self-image. Why? Because every time you successfully reset, you send a powerful message to your subconscious. I'm someone who can begin again, without waiting for tomorrow. I'm not perfect, but I don't quit. And this alignment between your words, actions, and identity is what builds deep, unshakable self-trust. Hammer and wrench #3. Neuroplasticity, your brain rewires itself with every reset. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to rewire and adapt when you repeat new behaviors. When you apply the reset rule at the right moment, you're not just putting out fires, you're actually reprogramming your brain. You become familiar with pausing instead of spiraling. You build a new pattern, slip, reset, come back, instead of a slip, fail, quit. You begin to see yourself as someone capable of self-control. And that is one of the strongest signs of mental maturity. Resetting doesn't make you weak, it makes you resilient. Successful people aren't the ones who never stumble, they're the ones who know how to get back on track as quickly as possible. Part 3. How to apply the one-day reset rule in real life. You've just had a rough day. Everything seems to have spiraled out of control. And now, you're standing at a crossroads. Let it go and wait for tomorrow to start over. Pause, reset, and return today, even with just one small action. What will you choose? If you choose the second option, congratulations. You're practicing one of the most vital life skills. White right pointing back hand index, the ability to navigate yourself through chaos. Here are 4 practical steps to help you apply the one-day reset rule effectively in any real-life scenario. Stop sign. Step 1. Pause, acknowledge you're off track. Most of us don't reset simply because we don't realize we've slipped. We let ourselves get swept away by negative emotions, deadlines, procrastination. Reset begins with self-awareness. This isn't how I wanted today to go. I'm drifting away from what I committed to. No need for blame. No need for excuses. Just stop and admit, I need a reset. Step 2. Ask one strategic question. Once you've paused, ask yourself, if I could take just one small action to realign today, what would it be? Don't try to restart the whole day. Don't try to make up for everything. Just pick one simple, directional action. Examples. Ate poorly all day? Drink a glass of water and prep a healthy dinner. Skipped study time? Read 1 page. Open the learning app, even for 5 minutes. Scrolled social media too much? Power off for 15 minutes. Step outside for fresh air. Reset doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be intentional. Hammer and wrench #Step 3. Take a small action, but one with symbolic power. Why a small action? Because when you're tired, frustrated, or overwhelmed, your willpower is low. Pushing yourself to do something big may backfire and lead to another wave of quitting. So choose something small enough to start, but meaningful enough to shift momentum. Examples. Close your laptop and walk outside for 5 minutes. That's a reset of your energy. Write a journal line, I can still begin again from here. That's a reset of your mindset. Call a friend. That's a reset of emotional connection. When you act, even in a small way, you're sending yourself a message. I'm still in control. I'm still moving forward. Repeat button. Step 4. Reframe the day before it ends. Before you go to bed, don't let the narrative end with, today was a total failure. Instead, rewrite the story by answering 3 questions. What caused me to slip today? What did I do to reset myself? How will I continue tomorrow? This is critical. Because you're not just saving a day. You're building an identity, someone who recovers and moves forward. Electric light bulb reality check. Even successful people have bad days, they just reset sooner. An Olympic athlete once shared, "I also have days I don't want to train. But I don't let that stretch into the next day. I reset just by stepping onto the mat and touching the equipment, even for 1 minute. That's how I stay consistent." You don't have to do something big. You just have to make sure one bad day doesn't become two. Part 4. From a bad day to a better version of yourself. You know something? No one teaches you this in school. But in real life, success doesn't come from a streak of perfect days. It comes from your ability to rise after the worst ones. Explosion symbol. What you do after the slip is what shapes you. You don't need to feel bad about yourself for falling off track for a day. You just need to turn that very day into a turning point. We often believe that big change begins with grand declarations, with perfect days. But the truth is, real change begins the moment you sit there, exhausted, lost, and choose to come back. 1 glass of water. 1 journal entry. 1 small action. Just that gesture can break the negative cycle and bring you back to the person you're working hard to become. Seedling and the bad day becomes the most important one. Because on that day, you learn to keep going without needing to feel like it. You train real resilience, the kind that shows up even when no one's watching. You build trust with yourself, that you are in charge of your own journey. It's no longer a day of failure. It's the day you grew stronger. A bad day is not the end. It's an opportunity to prove that you don't give up easily. And if you learn to reset on those exact days, you'll become a stronger, braver, and far more unstoppable version of yourself. Today doesn't need to be perfect. You just need to come back. Maybe you fell off your plan today. Maybe you had a long, exhausting, disappointing day. And maybe you've thought about giving up. But pause, and remember this. A bad day doesn't make you a failure. But giving up on yourself, that's the only thing to fear. You don't have to wait until tomorrow to begin again. You can reset, right now. With 1 small action, 1 new choice, 1 decision not to let today go to waste. Bullseye. And if you're ready to do that, white right pointing back hand index comment below. I will reset today by ____. Even if it's just 1 small thing, make it the mark of your comeback. You don't need to be perfect to change. You just need to show up, today. If you've ever had a bad day but still chose to act, share your story. You're not alone. We're building ourselves, 1 day, 1 reset at a time. Pushpin. And don't forget, have a check mark, like this video if it helped you get back on track. Have a check mark, subscribe to Everyday Momentum so you never miss the next inspiring rule. Have a check mark, turn on notifications to stay ready for each new video, because building a better version of yourself requires regular reminders.